and welcome to the Silent Why podcast. Two people on a mission to find 101 different types of loss and grief to see if it's possible to find hope in every kind. I'm Claire Sands, and sometimes I'm joined by my husband Chris, who is not actually with me today. This week, as the episode goes out, it'll be straight after the Easter weekend in the UK. And I'm facing a rather depressing weekend as far as chocolate goes, because I'm on a 3-month dairy-free diet to help my digestive system reset. Which, badly timed by me, spans across Easter, I do love chocolate, and Chris's birthday. But I have just realised that the original Easter story actually reflects and involves all the things this podcast represents. Grief, loss, death, confusion, frustration, hope, joy, love, triumph. And since this particular episode will be released after the Easter Sunday celebrations, I thought it would be lovely to ride that wave and share with you some moments of joy that we've had while doing the podcast. One of them is that in typing this, I've just realised I can still have Simnel cake this Easter, fruitcake with marzipan in, because the butter replacement product that I use called Stork is actually vegan, which means it doesn't have any dairy. Excellent. The other moments of joy are words and things that have brought me and us a personal boost through feedback that we've had from you guys and guests over the last 18 months since the podcast launched. First of all, I want to say a huge thank you to you. Yes, you. That's right, you. Wherever you are in the world, thank you for listening to this podcast. I make this podcast and I work hard all week to put it together. I do it for little to no profit. I take pride in it because of you, so that you and many others will share in the stories of our guests and our own journey with loss. So thank you for listening to that. And if you haven't told one other person about us yet, then please do. If you all do that, my audience will double overnight and I get to faint with joy. I'm not sure that's a thing, but it really should be. You might wonder how many of you there actually are, and where you are. Well, my podcast host, the company that helps store and distribute all the episodes, the lovely Buzzsprout, provide me with figures on this. So, as you're clearly an avid fan, I'll share some with you. This episode is the 144th episode that we've published, and by the time this airs, I'm 99% sure that we'll have just crossed the 19,000 downloads mark, which is pretty amazing and very encouraging. The majority of our downloads have come from Europe, but it's very quickly followed by North America, then Oceania, which I've only just realised isn't Oceania, but there's an extra I in there. Then Asia, then Africa, then South America. We don't get any stats from any other continents. As far as countries and territories go, the UK is first, then the US, then Australia, then Canada, then Ireland, then Germany, then South Africa, and so on, for a total of 96 different countries and territories, with Hong Kong and many others being at the bottom with just one download. The top listening city is London, then Gloucester, near where we live, then Cheltenham, also near where we live, then Sydney, then Perth, Chicago, Bury St Edmunds, Dublin, Buffalo, Cambridge, Ashburn, Selkirk, Portsmouth, Calgary, Portland, Toronto, Birmingham, Reading, Vienna, Minneapolis, Adelaide, Vancouver, and so many more. And if you haven't heard your town in that list, you either need to get spreading the word or you haven't quite listened to every episode yet to get the figures up. I also run a buymeacoffee.com/thesilenTwhy page, so people can donate towards my work and the cost of the podcast. So far, I've had 22 supporters through that. Some are one-off donations and some are monthly supporters, all with various rewards attached. And you guys have all given me the biggest smile when those emails pop into my inbox, so thank you so much for that. So they're the figure-based factual things that head lovers like to hear and be encouraged by. Now I'm going to move on to the squishy stuff, for those of you who love the more heart-based info. I've had some amazing emails, feedback and comments on social media on this journey, and it strikes me that my nature seems to be to read it, sort of believe it and then try and move on, almost embarrassed, or not really believing that someone could feel that way about the work that I do from a small room in England on my own. But I'm learning the value in trying to intentionally hear what people are saying, believe it and grow in confidence because of it. Amy Collette said, "Gratitude is a powerful catalyst for happiness. It's the spark that lights a fire of joy in your soul." So although this doesn't come naturally for me, I'm going to share some of the feedback and comments I've had. Because I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they read out an encouragement that I'd sent them, and it really made me smile. Thank you, Writing in Progress podcast with Justin Krebs and John Woolley. I fully recommend this if you enjoy writing fiction. And I thought I should share the love people send me too. It was hard for me to go back and find it because it's mostly spread over my inbox, Instagram comments and direct messages, Twitter comments and direct messages, Facebook comments and direct messages, LinkedIn comments and direct messages, Apple reviews, Good Pods, which is mostly Jared Altick from Hey Chaplin podcast giving us 5 stars, which I love him for because I know that he knows how hard it is to promote a podcast, and Spotify. Although I don't think we have any reviews on there. If we do, I cannot find them. So this isn't all of it for sure, but it is a taster of what I found. I'm going to largely keep these all anonymous unless it was posted on the internet when I might mention the handle. If you hear your words, I hope you don't mind me sharing them. I'm doing so because I know they will help and encourage others. I did think about doing them in different voices or getting other people to read them like they do on TV sometimes, but it was all just a bit too much work to consider for an Easter weekend, so instead, here I am reading your words. I wanted to say again just how much your podcast has impacted and helped my husband and I through our journey of childlessness. We have found it a very isolating experience, and hearing you share your journey and voicing the very same things we have been feeling has been so helpful. Thank you for your vulnerability. We very much appreciate it. I've been enjoying listening. So much easier to do than watching TV or streaming when looking after a 4-month-old. After infertility issues, I am so grateful to have a little girl, but I found your podcast helped me realise a few things. Even if you get a good outcome, with a permanent loss, the occasional I don't knows can keep on coming. Things don't heal and have perfect resolution overnight, I've realised. It's complex. But I guess like your childlessness, you just deal with one thing at a time as time passes and things come up. Thank you again. I can't tell you how much I admire your caring, your dedication, warm approach and willingness to be curious about such a hard and broad topic as grief. What a gift this programme is to the world. What thrills me is that your story and efforts are bringing help and hope to others. What you're doing matters. It's funny, reflective, attentive to details, empathetic and moving. What's coming through this podcast is gold. I sent it to a friend who told me it was just what she needed to hear at the time. Really love your show, and I know how much work it takes. I can tell you put so much into this. Everything is so professional. We are absolutely absorbed with listening to your podcasts. Where have you been all our lives? Well, we thoroughly enjoyed your New Year podcast this morning with our coffee. You both really helped us reflect upon how we view a new year. Like you both, our last decade has left us feeling like every new year ends up being as, shall we say, disappointing as the year before. We too are almost too cautious about New Year hopes and dreams. The new year is simply a chronological bookmark. We soldier on despite the past and live in the now. Really excellent, thought-provoking podcast. You guys rock. I just think you're good people doing a good thing. Hello you two, I just wanted to say how much I've been enjoying listening to some of your podcast episodes. You guys are doing an amazing thing. Listening to the amazing people on your podcast has helped me to both name my experience as grief and start to feel other emotions such as hope and gratitude. Keep doing what you're doing, you lovely people. You make me feel so warm and fuzzy, Claire. I can't wait to meet you and Chris someday. It's gonna happen. I feel so connected to you. It feels weird to say, but it's strange what threads of life you can share with people you've never met before that just seem so strong. 2 comments under my Instagram post that I did about our Line in the Sand anniversary. I feel like I could have written this, Claire. Such a thoughtful post. Thank you for being so honest. Love as ever to you both. Bless you both. It takes courage to admit this and courage to move forward. Keep moving at your pace. I listened to the month of August when I drove to work yesterday morning, and as I left the camp looking in my rearview mirror, I saw the moon was low on the horizon and quite large. I had you travelling with me on the car stereo, and the moon gave me a smile thinking of how much you also love the moon. I've been playing catch-up, and whilst preparing green tomatoes to make chutney, I listened to Claire's Autumn. Absolutely brilliant. What an amazing way with words. You paint incredible pictures, Claire, and you took me on a happy journey. Thank you. Keep it up. One of the things I love the most is when our guests love their own episodes, because so many of them are nervous or unsure about what it's going to sound like ahead of time. And I take a lot of time, care and love editing them to make them sound the best possible versions of themselves, so I love it when that pays off. And here's some of the feedback I've had from guests after they've heard their own episode go out live. I just finished listening and I think it came out really well. I'm thrilled to be part of such an important project. I just want to send a huge thank you to you both. You've done such a beautiful job with the podcast and I'm really honoured to have taken part. Thank you again from the bottom of my heart for the recording today. As I mentioned before, you guys approached everything with the utmost kindness and compassion, and I am grateful for that. I'll share this with others. I think yours is a fabulous project and worthy of wide support. Seriously, we are thrilled to be a part of your very thoughtful, intelligent and unique project. Thank you kindly for giving me this opportunity. What you guys are doing makes a world of difference to so many. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen to our story and for producing such a high-quality podcast. Very impressive editing magic. Thank you for everything, Claire and Chris. I'm so amazed at how the final edited version came out. You made it so seamless and made my rambling so much more sensical. Ha! You truly have a gift, from interviewing to editing to producing and marketing. It's such a joy to be able to share this with co-workers, family and friends. We have just listened and we are so very, very grateful for this. It is absolutely incredible. Thank you so much. I'm just about to post it on our platforms. You guys are utterly brilliant. I listened to it several hours ago and I thought it was flawless. You must have done a masterful job of editing because I don't normally sound that good without a lot of work. Thanks. Wow, oh wow. I so enjoyed the podcast and how you put all the content together. What blew me away was your very appropriate quote at the end. So powerful. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share my story, and I trust it will touch people's lives for the better. Even if only one person's life is changed through my message, it will all be worth it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. May your podcast grow from strength to strength. May it touch people's lives in a very special way. We'll continue to listen to your podcast and we'll definitely visit next time I'm in England, which might be sooner than you think. I've just finished listening to the podcast. Wow, you have both done an amazing job of editing our, at times, incoherent ramblings into something that sounds like we know what we're talking about. Thank you so much, Chris and Claire. It was a joy to be with you and I'm so grateful for your ministry. Just wanted to send you guys a note to thank you so much for having me on the podcast. You were both so kind and I so appreciated your genuine curiosity about my story. I'm considering sharing it on my personal page, which is a huge step for me. I've just listened back to it. It's absolutely brilliant. It's probably one of the best things I've listened to. I promise I'm not blowing my own trumpet. So I hope that if you're ever a guest on a podcast, you'll be encouraged that everyone is nervous beforehand and doesn't quite know what they're going to sound like. But in the hands of the right editor, even your own words can impress you. I had a particularly beautiful post on Instagram recently. Well Then She Created posted one of my posts about my latest episode on navigating Mother's Day on her story, and she wrote this next to it. Beautiful reflections from a childless woman on Mothering Sunday and Mother's Day. The grief journey, self-care, thinking of those without children, refocusing, healing and helping, a shared prayer that encompasses the wide continuum of mothering. Go and listen again and again. You will glean something new each time. Claire Sands, you are an incredibly talented writer and speaker. This is everything I've ever felt and wanted to express myself but couldn't find the right words. You concisely and eloquently capture it all in this beautiful and inspiring message. Thank you. I was really blown away by that one, so thank you. Well Then She Created. That meant a lot, especially as that was the episode where I just put the microphone on and spoke without having a script in front of me, so thank you. So many beautiful words of encouragement. And when people's first question for me when I say I host a podcast is, how does that make money? I want to say, well, it sort of doesn't. But my soul gets paid in boatloads when people write to me and encourage me in messages like these. Mary Davis said, the more grateful I am, the more beauty I see. Then there's also the Apple Podcast reviews that people can post about us. These are actually really important for us to get found by new people when searching for podcasts. But also, it's seemingly really hard to get people to go and do a review. If a podcast has about 100 reviews, you're probably more likely to give it a shot than one that's got, say, 11. And apparently, people have to hear please leave a review around 7 times before they actually go and do it. But I really don't like hammering that out in every episode. So if you could please leave us a review on Apple or Spotify or Good Pods, that would be great. Please leave us a review. Please leave us a review. Please leave us a review. Or please leave us a review. Please leave us a review. Or please leave us a review. There, did it, 7 times. It's a free and very easy way to support us. You can even do it in the post office queue or on the toilet. So far, we have 11 reviews on Apple in total, meaning there's hundreds of you out there that have yet to take up my call on this. But a shout out to those of you that have. You're amazing and I am super grateful. Annoyingly, Apple doesn't actually tell me if someone leaves a review, so we have no way of knowing when one is left. And to find them myself, I seem to have to go into every single country individually on Apple to see if there's any there. If there's another way, please let me know. So anyway, I went and had a look recently, and here are the words from the beautiful people that have left us a review on Apple to help us find more listeners. From One Way. This podcast is such a gift to a world that struggles to be transparent in our conversations around loss and grief, and struggles even more to find hope in the midst of loss. Claire and Chris Sands take their own personal journey of loss and transform it into the most beautiful worldwide conversation, episode by episode, around the multifaceted experiences of loss and also the hope that can still exist in the midst of painful life events. They are such compassionate, insightful, thoughtful interviewers, and they invite their listeners into stories of both empathy and inspiration. Discovering this podcast has been such a gift. I can't recommend it enough. Jared Altick. Great podcast talking about loss and grief and all the things we need to understand to come through a loss. Thank you. Elizabeth LYBL. Chris and Claire are both impressive hosts. Their energy and commitment to their mission to explore different kinds of losses and grief is amazing. They are super interesting and bring great insights to a range of thought-provoking topics. Such a powerful and meaningful talk. Kudos, and please keep bringing us more of the Silent Why. David Richman, author. I have listened to nearly all of Claire and Chris's podcast episodes. As an expert in grief myself, I appreciate the energy they pour into their guest losses and how they bring each guest story to life. They have alchemized their own loss and grief into this meaningful podcast and have insights, empathy and curiosity to share with people. I know their audience will continue to grow as they work their way towards number 101. I'll be listening along the whole way. KJ Dukey. Hosts Claire and Chris manage to tackle a daunting and painful topic with insight, curiosity, kindness and even a little levity. Their mission to explore grief in many forms honours what it means to be truly human. As they journey with their guests into the caverns of the heart, they find not just darkness but beauty, hope and complexity. These conversations feel like they are with old friends. Platt J. Moving, emotional, powerful and meaningful. A deep dive into emotions and experiences that all too often get ignored by society. Steffi Rolly. Moving, emotional, powerful and meaningful. A deep dive into emotions and experiences that all too often get ignored by society. _A_P_. I really recommend The Silent Why. Chris and Claire uncover amazing insights and beautiful pearls of wisdom about different types of loss and how to deal positively with them. Each week they have a different interviewee, all with unique stories of loss and suffering. They ask really meaningful questions and I came away feeling deeply encouraged. Give it a go. QI165. The pain of loss is one of the key events of human existence. Claire and Chris discover the topic in a respectful and informative manner. Each interview is a fascinating insight into the moment when the loss is realised. Each episode deals with an intensely personal story, told with openness and honesty by each participant. Realisation, birth, growth, emotion, aspiration, conflict and mortality are all discussed, leaving the listener a little more in touch with life and those we choose to share it with. Life is short. See how others deal with it. Then look up the recipe for a Herman friendship cake. Sam Collier. Claire and Chris navigate sensitive and emotional topics in an honest yet reassuring way. I love their openness and engaging conversations. Then, through Buy Me a Coffee, I've not just had donations, but I've also had some lovely comments attached to them. Like these. You are both incredibly amazing and genuinely lovely people. I stumbled across your podcast and I'm glad I did. I have found listening to the stories of others very helpful indeed. So grateful others are prepared to share in this way. I'm not childless myself but have experienced other types of grief and loss, which at times have been overwhelming. The hope in your podcast has been so encouraging to hear. Thank you. You are both terrific, lovely people. I love the work you are doing with such courage, compassion, insight and openness of heart. Thank you. Happy birthday. Truly hoping you continue this for many years to come. Thank you very much, Claire and Chris, for your wonderful podcast. I found you by accident as I navigate being childless not by choice. I've just listened to your episode 3 and sending you both my love. What really struck me was your point that crossing the line in the sand is just the beginning. This is a helpful realisation for me in recognising why I still struggle and think about it every day. I'm so pleased to have found you, and I'm looking forward to listening to the other topics. Enjoy the tea, and thank you. Absolutely love the work that you do. It's so important to have these conversations around loss and grief. The My White and Let's Chat are an added bonus, and of course I need to mention the professional curation of each episode. And what can I say? I love the theme song. I love you. Can't wait to sip on some tea and crumpets together someday. To you, Claire, for being a thoughtful and kind soul doing so much good in this world. We love The Silent Why and its hosts. You guys kept me company on my long drive back from London yesterday and made the journey so much more enjoyable. So for that, I'd like to contribute to your tea fund to say thank you. Happy to help you keep doing you. So that's it for now. Thank you for listening, for commenting, for donating to my work, for encouraging, for telling others about us, for putting our podcast on your own podcast feed. That's you, Hey Chaplain. And thank you for being someone who's interested in opening up conversations around loss and grief. You are very important people to me, and I'm so grateful for you all. I hope hearing the words of others has shown you the part of the team that you're in. We're all on this journey together. Whether you're a listener, a guest, or a griever, I consider you part of my team. And don't forget, your words matter. They encourage me, they encourage others, and you never know how far they're going to travel. And if you feel the need to share the love, you can find out the many ways of doing this listed on my website at thesilentwhy.com/support, and I'll put links in the show notes. Albert Schweitzer said, "At times our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lighted the flame within us."